have to take a deep breath with that one because it is emotional and it is personal. And I think that that's the theme that I'm always going to be referencing for everyone. This is a personal journey. So with my godmother, about 13 years ago, she had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. And when I look back at that, I remember being there and the doctor saying she has Alzheimer's disease. I remember the questions that they asked her in the office. And when we left there, my heart was kind of in my stomach. I didn't really understand what was on the horizon. I didn't know what does that mean? What is my part in it? What can I do? What can't I do? What does that mean for her? How is the life, her life, and my life as we know it, how is that going to change? There's nobody in the whole wide world that could have prepared me for that. So just giving the highlights of it, she lived with that disease for about 5 or 6 years. I moved her. The first thing I did is move her close to me. She was living in an independent living community very close, about a block away. One Sunday, we used to have her come and have dinner with us every Sunday. And she at times was disoriented, but she still knew her way around. But she came this one Sunday evening and we had a nice dinner. And I remember it was daylight out because I didn't want her to drive in the dark. So she left half a block and about 2 hours had gone by. I had asked her to call me when she got home. No phone call. So I started calling. No one was answering. So I went there. She wasn't there. Now I'm really nervous, very scared. We called missing persons, or we called the police, and they came. They started writing a report, but they have to be gone for 24 hours or something. My husband was looking. I was looking. My son was looking. About 1 o'clock in the morning, we got a call from somebody managing a motel in downtown LA. She was sitting on the edge of the bed when I got there. Carrie, I don't know how I got here. Well, that was the beginning of the end. I took her home, cried all the way home. We took her keys away. And she'd been independent all of her life. So it was heart-wrenching to do that. She didn't want me to do that, but I knew she wasn't safe. So then one day I used to check on her after going to the gym every morning, and I noticed her newspapers outside the apartment, and I had keys. I knew then, though, she always read the newspaper. And I walked in, and she was lying in a pool of urine. And I don't know how long she'd been there. I called 911. I was shaking. I couldn't believe that this was all happening, and I felt guilty, sad, grief-stricken. It still makes me choke up. Anyway, she went to a local hospital and stayed there for a while, and they discharged her to a skilled nursing facility. And I know these places, we don't want our loved ones to go there. They do the best they can, with all the healthcare reform and the cutbacks. There's not enough people. I hated it. I couldn't stand it. So they told me the dreaded news was she could not live alone. So we looked for assisted living, and I remember she had $3,000 to spend. Now this is like 15 years ago when I was going through this, and I was like, $3,000 a month, that's great. I won't have to financially worry. Not so. I couldn't believe, even back then, there wasn't very much of a selection, and what you got for $3,000 a month, that saying, you get what you pay for? You don't get much for $3,000 a month. At any rate, we moved her into a local assisted living community, and I also had caregivers that were going in because she needed a little extra help. And within 6 months, I have to scratch my head knowing this now. I had no idea you could be evicted from assisted living, but that's what happened. They called me and they said because she no longer remembered where the dining room was, that she could not stay any longer. So then we went to find a board and care, and we had to start that heart-wrenching process all over again. And now, another 7 or 8 months had passed. Her funds I was starting to worry about it. So we found another board and care that specialized in Alzheimer's and dementia patients. And I remember visiting her, and every time I would go, she'd say, "Take me home, take me out of here. These people are crazy." And I was like, "Ja," I used to call her Ja. Her name was Janice. We can't take you home. And that just killed me. I'd cry all the way home, all the way back. I went to see her on a regular basis. One time, though, she did say this to me, and I never forgot it. It gave me such insight into the disease and the people that I help these days. But she looked at me and she said, "Carrie, if I ever say anything to you that hurts your feelings, know that it's not me." She knew she was losing it. Anyways, we progressed. She started to wander, then she was in a wheelchair, and then they called me and they said she was hospice. And after that, it seems like once a week I'd get a call, "This is it." And your heart just like gets into your throat. So you race down there. No, this isn't it. And then I go back to work, and another week would go by. This is it. Back and forth, back and forth. And I was worried. I didn't know if I wanted to be there or not be there. I didn't want her to be alone, but I know me. So it was Easter Sunday morning. I was at church with my son, and afterwards I said, I need to go see her. And they had my phone numbers, and we went to see her. I walked in the room, and I went over to kiss her on the cheek. And I looked at the caregiver, and I said, she's cold. When was the last time you checked on her? Where's a blanket? And I could tell by the look on the caregiver's face that she had died. So that was that. It took me 10 years, I think, to get over it, as you can see. And when I did, I wanted to do something to help others. And that's why I'm here.